the way that I approach meditation that's a little bit different from a lot of other people is, one, I say that it's a natural behavior, not a special behavior that belongs to monks, nuns, ascetics, priests. So it's a natural behavior. I think it is a natural behavior that emerges in anybody when they follow an instinct that says it'd be a good idea to be quiet and alone for a bit, right? That's a very basic instinct, right?
Hello, welcome in to another edition of Citing, your conscious living show with me, Clara Apollo. And on this episode, I have for you Dr. William Bloom. This is actually take two. It's not take two, it's number two. We spoke to him about 6 months ago, all about meditation and how this really can be your inner practice from which everything else grows from and comes back to. Now, William is a very seasoned practitioner, author, and hugely well respected around the world. And he has his Spiritual Companions Trust, which is an organization that is designed, I believe, to help many, many more people of many walks of life understand what meditation is for them. So we are absolutely thrilled that he's going to come down to the New Forest on the 20th of October as well to teach us how to lead and inspire meditation. So we're going to dive into the world of meditation with Dr. William Bloom. So welcome back to Citing, William.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
great to be here.
Yeah. And since we last spoke, I have now moved over to Somerset, which is not far from where you are.
No, blessings on your new home.
Thank you so much. So this is my studio space, and it is just, it absolutely is a blessing, and I feel that I've been drawn to the land. And part of our last chat, we were talking about how being in nature and actually being on the land that resonates with you, with your naturalness, with your being. I think you were saying about 70% of people really, really resonate with being in nature. Do you think that's increasing now? Do you think more and more people are getting?
No, that 70% figure came from some research, some academic research that was done actually, where they were asking people, when do you connect with whatever you call God, spirit? And 70% of them said, well, the most easy place for me to do it, where I have those experiences, is out in nature. So I actually think that's normal. I think it's natural. And I think it's partly because people get away from other people, actually. You know, so there's a kind of binary on this. One, oh, there's nobody in my face. Two, oh, trees, sky, earth, rocks, you know.
Yeah.
Animals.
Absolutely. And that you just hit on it, that distraction and getting away from being in other people's energy fields. And you hear people when they're out in nature and they will often be talking as if to kind of fill the space with chatter. But when you're out in nature on your own, you can expand your awareness and really commune more.
Yeah, but I've got to say, I love going for walks with good friends. That's one of the ways I keep my friendships going, is by going for long walks with them, and that's when we talk, and then we pause, stop. You know, I think lots of people, don't they?
Pause and stop. You know, it's all good, isn't it? It's what works best for you. And when we were talking before about how you open up the topic of meditation with mainstream people so that they don't think you're going to lay a trip on them, I just love that phrase that you use about where is it that you connect with the wonder and energy of life. I mean, this is genius. So simple.
Yeah, it's a very easy way of starting a conversation about spirituality. You can use it with a rabbi, a bishop, an agnostic, an atheist. Richard Dawkins, the Archbishop of Canterbury. You know, you could be sitting in a train with them and just say, well, actually, when do you most easily connect with the wonder of life? You know, and they'll come out of their theology or their atheism or whatever it is, and they'll go, oh, you know, fishing or walking or looking after my children or reading. You know, people have very many different ways. But here's a problem. At the moment, meditation has been kind of slightly skewed away into purely into mindfulness. And mindfulness doesn't always include the spiritual, religious, sacred dimension, because it's becoming a method of self-soothing, which is psychologically beneficial, which, thumbs up to that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only one aspect of meditation classically. I mean, classically meditation, and in people's experience, has a whole lot of other dimensions.
Oh, that is such a good point, because mindfulness has really come into the mainstream, and most people think they know what that means, although it's a funny word, isn't it? Mindfulness. It's actually not what we're going to do. Maybe being full of an expanded version of mind. But you're so right about the different approaches within meditation. So when you teach the meditation skills that you do, that's obviously coming from the wealth of experience you've had across Kabbalah, Western mystery school, Taoism? Yeah.
I started meditating instinctively. I can tell you that story later, maybe, when I was 21, 22. And I've had a practice since then, daily, and done a couple of years retreat. And I've gone out of my way, because I'm interested in the subject, to experience as many different traditions as possible. Which I think, people say, well, you should just stay in one tradition. And I go, no, that's bonkers. If you're interested in movies or dance or music, you try different varieties in order to see what you like and explore it. Anyway, one of the things, the way that I approach meditation that's a little bit different from a lot of other people is, one, I say that it's a natural behavior, not a special behavior that belongs to monks, nuns, ascetics, priests. It's a natural behavior. I think it is a natural behavior that emerges in anybody when they follow an instinct that says it would be a good idea to be quiet and alone for a bit, right? That's a very basic instinct, right? And people will then go wherever they can to follow that instinct. And following that natural instinct, they'll have their own ways of getting quiet. So for example, if somebody out of a warrior fighting tradition, like a policewoman, say there's a policewoman and she's been on the streets and she comes home and she goes, oh my God, I'm feeling too frayed from what's been going on, or, I need some quiet time and to sit alone. And she goes, she finds a quiet space, maybe a conservatory or shed in the garden or bedroom if she's lucky, right? Before she sits, she realizes she's carrying some of the aggro from the day. So before she sits, she might shake, scream, do some karate punching, do some martial arts punching to release some of the energy that's in her, right? So now if she were now the teacher of meditation, she might be teaching people, oh, before you meditate, you have to do some release and shaking and everything, right? Where over here, we've got somebody else, right? And they go, well, actually, before I sit, I like to pray. That works for me. Somebody else will say, well, I don't want to do that. I just want to listen to the river, So people have different ways in. So I think it's a natural behavior. I think people have different ways of going into a meditative state. But here's the point. I think there's a core similarity to all people's meditation states, regardless of how they get there. I can describe that core
go on then.
Similarity if you'd like me to.
I'd love you to.
Yeah. Okay. So I think there's a core state that everybody goes into, regardless of whether they come out of a Buddhist, Christian, martial arts, nature, pagan tradition, or just someone in the city who's following mindfulness. Right. When people are in a meditative state, there are certain basic foundations to that state. Number one, the person's body is at ease. And if it's not at ease, the person's waiting for it to sink and drop down into being at ease. Number 2, they're awake. They're not sleeping. They're not daydreaming. They're not lost in a visualization. There's a part of their consciousness that's watching. It's absolutely awake. They're alert. And it's the same kind of alert that you might have in a relaxed way if you're looking after a load of children at a party and they're suddenly doing their own thing. And you sit back and you go, okay, I'm just going to relax for a bit, but I'm watching, for the slightest disaster, catastrophe, right? So that then brings in the third element. So the first one is the body's at ease. Second element is you're awake. Third element, your attitude is kind, compassionate. There's a sense of not just watching in a kind of cold, frigid way, which sometimes is one of the bad ways that meditation is taught. And sometimes mindfulness can go in that direction. It's just like you're noticing. The foundation here is, yes, you're noticing, but your attitude is kind, compassionate, understanding, intelligent, as best we can be, wise as best we can be. Right? So you've got 3 foundations: body at ease, awake, kind, and the fourth one that's always there. And I've taught this for decades now, and people always go, "Yeah, this is nobody disagrees." The fourth one is, again, the language is a bit of a tap dance here. Inside that state of being at ease, watchful, and compassionate, you feel at one with everything that is. You feel connected. You feel in harmony. You feel in your kind of language, you feel as though you're flowing in the Tao. You're part of it, right? It's a sense of connection. It's a sense of harmony. It's a sense of oneness. Now, if anybody who's meditating, regardless of their pathway in, that's the place they will go. And you can talk to meditators from Christian, Buddhist, pagan, Taoist traditions, and they'll all go, yeah, but I get there using a different method. Mm. Now, here's the really interesting bit that a lot of people don't get. When you're in that state, I'm just pausing for a moment because I want to talk a little bit how best to teach it, right, in a minute, right? But when people are in that state, it's private. It's completely private space. People are at ease in their bodies, completely private, and they'll start sensing things and thinking things and feeling things. And people do different things in meditation. I'm going to list a few of them. In Buddhism, most Buddhist meditation like Zazen or Vipassana, the tendency is empty and watch, empty and observe. That's it. Don't do anything else. Just empty and observe. And everything that's meant to happen will happen. Right? But just be empty, just be witnessing, just be watching. Okay? That's what some people do. Other people go, oh, I can feel stuff happening in me. I think I'm going to do some healing work on myself. Because they've done some training in healing, or because they have an instinct that they can be kind to their bodies and direct healing energy or healing attitude into their body. Or they may go, okay, in this space, it would be a really good idea if I looked at why I behaved like such a prat in my relationship yesterday. Right? So, and it's there. It's part. You don't. When you sit in meditation, everything you are is there. You don't suddenly become something else. In fact, you become everything you are. So there's the relationship problem you have, and you just sit there in meditation, looking at it. And in the looking at it, possible ways forward will arise. But you'll be reflecting, reflective meditation on your own growth, your own development. Other people are called to do healing work outside of themselves to the world. Other people inside meditation will go, oh, this is really interesting. Who is this witness who's witnessing? Mm-hmm. What is this consciousness? Can I expand it? What happens if I expand it? And if I expand it, what happens if I expand it in relationship to the tree? What happens if I expand it in relationship to the sun, or to the Pleiades, or Sirius, or the cosmos beyond, or the black hole? What happens if I expand it? What are the different qualities and vibrations of energy that sit out there? And it's an exploration of consciousness and the universe. And then other people who follow particular traditions will go, well, I'm a Christian meditator. What I would like to do in this meditation is contemplate the real meaning of the crucifixion. You know, I mean, there's a whole deep school of Christian meditation which follows the whole story of Jesus as a way of learning about the cosmos and themselves. Just as in Tibetan Buddhism, you might follow the life of a particular saint. Right? Or in Kabbalah, you wouldn't be focusing on an individual. Your meditation would focus on the tree of life, the different aspects of the tree of life, and how it talks to you, what do you learn from it. So what you can see that I'm saying here is, in the privacy of being at ease, being awake, being connected, being kind, people are free, liberated to do what they want to do. Unfortunately, a lot of meditation teachers and schools will tend to suggest, no, this is the way you have to go into meditation. And when you're in meditation, this is what you have to do. So the way I teach it is, hello, everybody. It's a natural state. We'll talk about that in a minute. And here are your ways of getting in there. I'll guide you into it if you want, you know, because there are various easy ways of guiding you to that place. And let's explore the different ways of what you can actually do in meditation, right? So it's a very student-centered, learner-centered approach based in an assertion, which is a little bit revolutionary, actually, that it's normal, it's natural, and it's been hijacked, a little bit hijacked by particular traditions. You know, people will be people, organizations will be organizations. The people like baby geese, they like to latch on the first thing that moves. You know, people will latch on to particular forms and schools, but I'm saying, no, break free of those particular forms and explore what's accessible to you, what you like, what will expand you, what is on the edge of your growth at the moment, what works for you right now, you know. And for some people, it will be just getting still. For others, it will be just getting kind. For others, it will be actually being awake. And for others, they'll be ready to start exploring things. So that's the way. So on our day together.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Can we just do that? Because there's a lot of things that are coming up here for me. The first one is the use of the mind, because often when we go into meditation, we're told to stop the monkey mind. And I know my own practice, I can't flip and stop it, but I can do deals with it. And I can focus and intend for it to be part of the meditation rather than the shopping list. And the other thing is, you were saying about this reflection is very different, waiting for the reflection to inform you rather than getting the intellectual mind to think it's got to work something out in that space.
Yes.
Yeah. So
you just described what goes on inside you when you're sitting sometimes, right?
Exactly. So
and this is the kind of conversation which I love to explore. Okay. It doesn't necessarily require me to tell you, as your meditation coach, what to do. It's an inquiry that actually what I want to do in the conversation is loosen up the edges so you've got more space to do what you're talking about. Yeah. Because it may be that sometimes the sharpness of your intellectual mind is quite useful.
Right. So you're not kind of throwing the mind out with the bathwater.
Well, you can't. You've got an intelligent mind. When you're sitting there and it's quiet, that's it. It's there with you. So use it. So my criterion always is the mind, is the voice, the babbling, is it doing something useful?
Or is it
shut up?
Yeah.
Is it doing something useful? So if it's looking at relationships, children, family. There's a difference between the mind going, oh, look at that problem. I wonder how we can sort it best. That's useful.
Yeah.
To the mind going, I wish he hadn't behaved like that. You know, it's all his fault for blah, blah, you know, blaming. You go, no, that's not useful, mind. Don't do that.
No, right.
You guide it.
The compassion and that key point about kindness and self-kindness. But I love what you were saying about loosening up the edges. So I think that idea, when you're following the old traditions, you're like, oh, someone's found a way in. Oh, do tell me what that is, because I want to find a way in. And you think that following somebody else's pathway in is going to help you get in. And what you're saying is that actually you need to find your own pathway in. But there are some methods and some techniques that you could employ, but I don't know which one it is that's actually going to be working for you. That's up to you to sort out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, for example, I've got a friend. We're having this conversation a few weeks ago. She said, I don't meditate. I can't meditate. I can't sit down and meditate. And I know her fairly well. And I know one of the things she does, she lies in bed, chills out, does self-healing, expands into the universe, you know. I said, describe to me what you do there. She said, I'm meditating. She said, but I'm not sitting up with my back straight. I said, well, who says you have to sit up with your back straight?
Well, some people.
And she then goes, oh, there's an internalized patriarch martial artist I've managed to absorb somewhere along the line.
So you're talking, so Dr. William Bloom is here with us on Chi Time, talking about expanding your experience of meditation and how you can really make it personal for you, because that's what this is all about. It's for you, and to find that compassion inside yourself, to find your meditation.
Yeah, but it's also universal. You know, let's be clear, because I mean, someone like me, who's had a daily practice for 50 years and has done 2 years retreat and study, I've got some tricks up my sleeve that are useful for people. You know, just as you have as a Taoist teacher, you have tricks up your sleeve that are useful for people. So I don't want anybody coming to me or to you with a thought that we're just going to, like, you know, find out how you do it your way. It will be,
right.
Look,
got you. No. Yeah.
Here are some practices, right?
Yeah.
Here's some basic stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I think this is one of the crucial things about. Can I do my little riff on teaching meditation?
Off you go, William Bloom. Go, mate.
This is one of my riffs. It's one of my it's actually almost a rant. Right? I'm trained as an educator, right? I'm a teacher. You know, I'm trained as a proper teacher, right? And one of the things when you're training as a teacher or you learn as an educator is you build on people's experience. You don't just pour in this new knowledge. Here's some new knowledge, right? Now, with meditation, for example, if we agree, hey, wait, it's a natural state. People are at ease, compassionate, connected, awake, right? We go, okay, here's an ordinary person. I'm now going to teach you how to be at ease and relaxed, right? And you're talking to someone who, since the day they were born, has been sleeping, watching telly, you know, sitting in cafes, eating, having holidays. Everybody's body, physical body, already knows what it's like to be at ease. So why on earth do meditation teachers and relaxation teachers teach it as if they're teaching them something new? Mm-hmm. So if I'm teaching it, or someone who's a trained educator is teaching meditation, it will start with, you know what it's like to be at ease and relaxed, right? Boom, boom. You know what it's like to be loving. And maybe you don't do it very often, but you know what it's like. You know, so let's build on that as opposed to this preposterous teaching that comes from men and women, often in robes, going, oh, no, I will teach you blah, 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 right? As if it's completely new. They're not educators. What they are is they are, put it at its worst, I have a reflective brain cell saying, William, don't be rude, right? I'm going, oh, you know, at their worst, they're propagandists for a cult. At their best, they're coaches in a particular tradition. But what I want them to do is to say, I'm a coach in this particular tradition. There are other ways of doing it. You know, but even then, I think they should be building on people's experience. They should be educators, not just deliverers of a particular method from a particular tradition.
Yeah, no, I'm really, really with you on that. And is this how you're going to be sort of inspiring us on Sunday, the 20th of October down in the New Forest?
We'll have a lovely time.
We will.
We'll chill out. Yeah. We'll liberate ourselves from a lot of extra stuff we don't need to know about, right? And we'll get to the essence. And by the end of the day, people will go, okay, I know a lot more experientially what it feels like to do meditation. I'm liberated to do it in the way I want to. But I've also heard from William that you need a daily practice or else it doesn't rhythm in. Your muscle memory needs to get it, you know.
Agree. I really agree.
But if it's going to anchor, it's got to be daily practice. So some discipline is needed.
Yeah. And that is the truth of it. My life completely changed when I took myself on daily, you know, really, really shifted. And it can take different forms, but it's always meditation before I get up. You know, it's like that bridge between the sleeping state and the waking state. Why wouldn't you meditate then? You know, like that's the perfect, in my experience, that's perfect for me. Right. Yeah.
I get up, maybe it's partly to do with my age. I need to do half an hour's movement.
Oh, okay.
Because if I get up and sit, I'm stiff.
Oh yeah, sure. I must say you're right. I will do some stretches. I won't do my qigong. I'll do more like to do some qi yoga and then sit and then do the qigong after the meditation. Right. Usually, and then go into meditation on a day where I can like indulge myself a bit. I'll give myself a whole morning, but that usually only happens once a week. But,
you know what I do, and this is like incredibly impressive for some people, and other people go, no, don't say that, William. I live with untidy people, right? Yeah. I spend the first half hour tidying up and cleaning gracefully, right? Yeah. Grateful for the exercise.
Yeah, yeah. And also having a space that's then just been set up for the day. It can be a meditation you're tidying. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, well, I do. It's just good for my body. Deal with the cat litter.
Yes, get rid of the smell.
Deal with the kitchen sink. Yeah. You know, deal with all the stuff that needs doing just to set the space for the day, and then I go sit.
Yeah.
And if I'm on holiday or not in my own home, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm hey everybody, I'm not going to come and stay with you in order to clean your kitchen in the morning, right?
Yeah, right.
just to be clear about that. If I'm on my own, I'll go for a walk or do some gentle stretching. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Brilliant. Well, absolutely wonderful to speak with you here again on Chi Time. You have opened my mind further, and I'm really much looking forward to actually meeting you and spending a whole day with you, learning more about how to inspire and lead meditation. So,
yeah, because that's the other thing. I'll give people who are already therapists or teachers or carers, what they'll also get through the day is a pretty good running commentary on how best to share this with other people.
Fabulous.
Right, because and they'll also, we've just
meditation masterclass. So
that
it's a handbook, right?
Amongst other things, for instance,
oh yeah.
So what that's got on the left-hand column are the different gateways in.
Right. So this is sorry for people who are listening to this. This is a meditation map with gateways, core state, and practices, with a list on either side that gives you things to consider. Wow. Yeah. At ease, alert, mindful. Yeah.
So this is. I'll bring some of these for people to buy if they want. But it's got all the basic notes for what we're talking about.
Lovely. And beautiful photographs as well.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nicely designed. It's nicely laid out.
Well done. And you're going to offer CPD certificates to people who want them as well.
Am I? Okay.
Well, that's what you said on your blurb. So we might have to talk about that and go, right.
No, that's fine. Okay. Thank you for reminding me. Easily
You're welcome.
done.
You're welcome.
Easily done.
Now, as you're on Chi Time, there's always a musical aspect here, and you have chosen a track to share with listeners. So would you like to introduce it to us and tell us why you've chosen it, please?
It's a very beautiful track of beautiful singing music that I've used for decades in workshops as one of the tracks that when people have had enough of me blabbing away at them, and maybe they're doing something like a drawing or a contemplative writing, I put this on in the background. There's a full album. It's called The Prayer Cycle, and yeah, I hope you really enjoy the track. I may bring it with me on the day we're together to play in the background at a certain point.
So it's by Jonathan Elias.
Jonathan Elias. It's quite an old album, but I think still up there on Amazon and iTunes.
Brilliant.
Jonathan Elias, The Prayer Cycle. Very beautiful.
Fantastic. And if you want to find out more about William coming down to the New Forest on the 20th of October, then head over to consciouslyevents.co.uk and all the information is there for you. So
yeah. Just one other thing. If people want to see a copy of this in advance, if they go to my website, there's a link directly. Oh, yes. To it.
Let's do your website, which is
williambloom.com. Excuse me, coughing.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really look forward to being with you, and I always learn from the people I'm working with, always. So I'm grateful for that.
Me too. We're all learning. We're all students of life, aren't we?
Well, we teach what we want to learn. If we put ourselves in the right place, you know.
So while people are listening to this, letting this just be a meditation experience. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Blessings.
Ani kabila seke